Picture this: you're standing at an airport gate, a first-class ticket in your hand, the boarding line buzzing with anticipation. Suddenly, a gate agent's voice cuts through the noise, accusing you, loudly, of faking it. All eyes turn to you. Whispers ripple through the crowd. The agent's smirk says she's already made up her mind. You don't belong. Humiliation stings, but what she doesn't know is that the woman she's targeting isn't just any passenger. She's about to learn a lesson she'll never forget, one that'll turn this tense moment into a showdown nobody saw coming. Want to know how it unfolds? Buckle up, because this story's about to take off. The airport hummed with chaos, families hugging, business travelers barking into phones, and overhead announcements droning like white noise. Monica Davis, sharp in a tailored navy suit, clicked her heels across the polished tiles toward gate 27. Her leather carry-on was as sleek as her silk blouse, but her mind was elsewhere, locked on the high-stakes meeting awaiting her. Monica wasn't just traveling, she was on a mission. As she joined the first-class boarding line, her eyes scanned the scene with laser precision. Years of climbing the corporate ladder had honed her ability to spot every detail, a skill forged in boardrooms and courtrooms. But today, she wasn't stepping into a legal battle. She was walking into a test she never saw coming. The gate agent, a middle-aged woman with a tight bun and an even tighter scowl, glanced up. Her gold nameplate read Ms. Andrews. Monica noticed the way Andrews sized up each passenger, her eyes flicking with a subtle but unmistakable judgment about who fit in first class. When Monica stepped forward, boarding pass in hand, she offered a polite smile. "Good afternoon," she said, her voice smooth and professional. Andrews barely glanced at the pass before her brows knitted. She held it up like it was a fake ID. "This doesn't look right," she said, her voice loud enough to turn heads. Monica tilted her head, irritation simmering beneath her calm facade. "I assure you, it's valid. Check the system." But Andrews didn't budge. Instead, she crossed her arms, her lips curling into a smug grin. "We get a lot of people trying to sneak into first class when they don't belong. I'll need to call security." The words hit like a slap. Monica felt the weight of every stare, passengers whispering, some gawking, their judgments as heavy as the overstuffed bags clogging the gate area. "Call security if you must," Monica said, her tone steady but laced with steel. "But I'd appreciate the same courtesy you've shown everyone else." Andrew's smirk deepened, a glint of satisfaction in her eyes. "I'm just doing my job, ma'am." "Step aside." Monica complied, stepping out of line, her grip tightening on her carry-on. She watched as Andrews waved through a rumpled businessman with barely a glance at his pass. Her jaw clenched. Minutes later, 2 security officers arrived, led by a tall man with a buzz cut. His badge read Officer Tyler. "What's the issue?" Tyler asked, eyeing Monica and Andrews. "This passenger's trying to board with a fraudulent ticket," Andrews said, her tone dripping with performative professionalism. "Fraudulent?" Monica cut in, her composure fraying just enough to show her indignation. "I paid for this ticket and have the receipt to prove it." Tyler held out a hand. "ID, please." Monica handed over her driver's license and receipt, meeting his gaze with unflinching confidence. He examined them, then passed them back. "Everything checks out. No indication of fraud." Andrews' frown deepened, her confidence cracking. "Well, I still think it's suspicious. How often do we see someone like her in first class?" The words hung like a storm cloud, their meaning unmistakable. Monica's face burned, but she refused to flinch. Years of navigating veiled insults had taught her to mask her emotions, but this was blatant. Tyler shifted, clearly uncomfortable. "Ms. Andrews, if there's no evidence, she can board. I'll need to confirm with the manager." Andrews snapped, already grabbing the phone. Monica exhaled, her patience thinning but her resolve hardening. This wasn't just about a ticket anymore, it was about principle. As Andrews made her call, Monica thought, "You're about to find out exactly who I am." The air at gate 27 grew thick with tension. Andrews spoke into the phone with exaggerated urgency, casting smug glances at Monica, who stood to the side, her posture unwavering. Passengers boarded, some throwing Monica sympathetic looks, others avoiding her gaze as if she were a spectacle. To them, she was out of place. To Monica, she was exactly where she belonged. The security officers lingered awkwardly, Tyler's earlier confidence replaced by a flicker of doubt, not about Monica, but about Andrews. Monica adjusted her blazer, her movements deliberate, reasserting her presence. She wasn't one for scenes, her power lay in precision, in knowing when silence cut deeper than words. Andrews slammed the phone down, her expression triumphant. "The manager's coming. Until then, you stay here, ma'am." Monica raised an eyebrow. "I'll wait," she said, her voice calm but razor-sharp. Minutes dragged like hours. The boarding line dwindled, leaving the gate area nearly empty. Finally, a man in a crisp navy suit approached, his stride purposeful. His name badge read Benson, gate manager. Younger than Monica expected, his face betrayed unease as he took in the scene. "Ms. Andrews, what's the problem?" Benson asked, his tone firm but neutral. Andrews straightened, relishing her moment. This passenger presented a fraudulent first-class ticket. "I called security, but I wanted your confirmation." Monica stepped forward, her presence commanding. "Good afternoon, Mr. Benson. I'm Monica Davis. I've provided my ID and proof of purchase." Officer Tyler confirmed my ticket's validity. Benson glanced at Tyler, who nodded. "Everything checks out." Andrews' face tightened. "It doesn't make sense," she stammered. She didn't act like a first-class passenger. The words landed like a grenade, their implications deafening. Benson's gaze hardened, though he kept his tone professional. "Ms. Andrews, I'll handle this." Turning to Monica, he added, "Ms. Davis, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Let me escort you to the plane." But Monica didn't move. Her eyes locked on Benson's. "Thank you, but we need to address what happened here first. This isn't an inconvenience, it's a problem." Benson hesitated, caught off guard by her steel. "Of course. We can discuss this privately." "I'd prefer we do it here," Monica said, her voice firm but composed. After all, it didn't happen in private. Benson's face reddened, but he nodded. Monica turned to Andrews, her gaze piercing. "You accused me of fraud without evidence, dismissed my documentation, and implied I didn't belong in first class. Is that correct?" Andrews opened her mouth, but no words came. Monica pressed on. "Your actions weren't just unprofessional, they were discriminatory. As an airline employee, you're expected to treat every passenger fairly." Benson stepped in, his tone placating. "Ms. Davis, I assure you, this will be addressed. Ms. Andrews will be suspended pending review." Monica nodded slightly. "Good. But I'll follow up personally to ensure it's thorough." She reached into her carry-on and handed Benson a business card. His face paled as he read the embossed text, "Monica Davis, Chief Legal Officer, Atlantic Air." Silence gripped the gate. Andrew's smugness dissolved into panic. I didn't know," she stammered. "That much is clear," Monica said coolly. She looked at Benson. "Ensure this plane takes off on time, Mr. Benson. And let's make sure no other passenger endures this." As Monica stepped onto the jet bridge, she felt every gaze on her back. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. The message was sent. Inside the plane, the cool air washed over her. Flight attendants greeted her with curious smiles, sensing the storm she'd just walked through. Monica nodded politely and settled into her first-class seat, the leather embracing her like a quiet victory. She smoothed her skirt, buckled her seatbelt, and noticed the businessman from the boarding line, the one waved through without a second glance, settling across the aisle. He caught her eye and offered a sheepish smile. "Glad you made it on," he said quietly. Monica returned a faint smile. "Thank you for stepping in back there. It wasn't your responsibility, but I appreciate it." He nodded, then leaned in. You handled that with more grace than I would have. That gate agent was way out of line. Out of line is putting it mildly, Monica said, her tone measured. But it's not the first time I've dealt with someone like her. His expression darkened. It shouldn't happen at all. Monica didn't respond. Her silence spoke louder than words, carrying the weight of truths she'd fought her entire career. As the plane taxied, she leaned back, the engines hum a brief escape. But her mind replayed Andrew's words. She didn't act like a first-class passenger. Each syllable stung, a reminder of the bias she'd faced before, and would again. Today, though, she'd confronted it head-on, not as a lawyer, but as a person. Monica pulled out her tablet, diving into Atlantic Air's employee conduct policies. Preparation was her armor, and she wasn't done fighting. The lead flight attendant, a woman in her 40s with a calm demeanor, approached. Ms. Davis, Mr. Benson asked us to ensure you're comfortable. Anything you need? I'm fine, thank you, Monica said, her smile polite but firm. The attendant hesitated, then lowered her voice. For what it's worth, I heard what happened. I'm sorry you went through that. Monica's smile softened. Thank you. Apologies aren't necessary from you. But they're appreciated. The flight passed quietly. Monica worked, annotating policies and drafting a report she'd file the moment she landed. She didn't just want Andrews disciplined, she wanted change. An hour in, the businessman across the aisle spoke again, his tone cautious. You someone important? Monica chuckled, setting her tablet aside. Depends who you ask. Why? You handled that like a pro, he said. And the gate manager practically tripped over himself when he saw your card. Who are you? I'm the chief legal officer for Atlantic Air, she said simply. Situations like that aren't new to me. Neither is what caused it. His eyebrows shot up. Chief legal officer? Wow. Explains a lot. Explains why I didn't back down, Monica said. But it shouldn't take a title to be treated with dignity. He nodded, thoughtful. I wouldn't want to be that gate agent right now. Monica's smile was faint. She wasn't after revenge, she wanted accountability. And she'd make that crystal clear. When the plane landed, Monica lingered, letting others disembark first. The lead flight attendant handed her an envelope. From Mr. Benson. Inside was a handwritten note. Ms. Davis, I deeply regret today's events and assure you they won't be overlooked. Thank you for your professionalism. Please reach out if I can do more. James Benson. Monica folded the note and slipped it into her bag. It was a start, but the real work was coming. She stepped into the arrivals terminal, the airport's chaos a stark contrast to her clarity. A driver waited with a sign bearing her name. Good evening, Ms. Davis, he said, opening the car door. Hope your flight was pleasant. It was productive, she replied. Sliding into the seat. Pleasant wasn't the word. I in the car. Monica checked her phone. An email from Benson awaited, subject, follow-up from Gate 27. It reiterated his apology and promised a thorough investigation into Andrew's actions. It was the kind of corporate response Monica had written herself countless times. She tapped out a reply, Mr. Benson, thank you for the follow-up. I'll review the investigation's outcome personally. Please send all documentation to my office by week's end. Monica Davis. At her hotel, Monica unpacked methodically, arranging her laptop and files on the desk. The city skyline sparkled outside, but her focus was on Atlantic Air's internal system. She pulled up Andrew's file. As expected, the gate agent had barely completed the airline's anti-discrimination training. Her performance reviews, though, were damning, efficient but abrasive with passengers. Needs improvement in conflict resolution. The warnings were there, ignored. This wasn't just Andrew's failure, it was the company's. The next morning, Monica arrived at Atlantic Air's regional office, a gleaming glass tower. In the conference room, James Benson and HR Director Karen Yates waited, their faces tense. Good morning, Ms. Davis, Yates said, shaking her hand. "Thank you for meeting us." "Let's get started," Monica said, taking her seat. Benson began with another apology, but Monica cut in. "Apologies are noted, but I'm here for solutions." "What's being done?" Yates shifted her papers. "We've launched a review of Ms. Andrews' conduct and gate staff training protocols. Additional sessions are scheduled to ensure compliance." "And accountability?" Monica pressed. "This isn't about one employee, it's about a culture that let this happen." "Why weren't Andrews' prior issues addressed?" Benson glanced at Yates, who hesitated. "That's part of the review," she said. "We're evaluating oversight to prevent future incidents." Monica leaned forward. "Good. Because this isn't just about passengers, it's about the company. Incidents like this expose us to legal liability." Her words landed heavily. Benson and Yates exchanged a glance, and Monica knew her point hit home. Back at her office, Monica drafted a report, recommending stricter training enforcement, better employee oversight, and a zero-tolerance policy for bias. Saving the document, she felt a spark of satisfaction. Gate 27 wasn't just a personal slight, it was a chance to drive change. And Monica Davis thrived on turning adversity into action. Weeks later, the investigation deepened. HR provided Andrews' full record, revealing a trail of passenger and coworker complaints, condescension, dismissiveness, even racial profiling. Each had been met with minimal consequences, emboldening her behavior. Monica's anger wasn't just at Andrews but at a system that let her slide in a meeting with Atlantic Air's executive team. Monica stood tall, her presence silencing the room. "Last week, I was accused of fraud at Gate 27, she began. "The investigation shows this wasn't isolated. Ms. Andrews has a history of discriminatory conduct, ignored by inadequate oversight. This isn't a PR issue, it's a liability. If we don't act, we're saying her behavior is acceptable." The executives agreed to her recommendations: mandatory retraining, stricter reviews, and systemic change. Monica's memo to the company set the tone. Accountability wasn't optional. An email from Benson arrived, detailing coworker accounts of Andrews' bias. He ended with a personal note: "Ms. Davis, thank you for holding us accountable." This was a wake-up call. "I'm committed to supporting your efforts." Monica leaned back, his words a small victory. At a gate staff training session she insisted on attending, she spoke candidly: "I'm Monica Davis, Chief Legal Officer. I'm not here to blame but to ensure you have the tools to treat every passenger with respect. Bias is human, but acting on it is a failure, not just as employees, but as people." The room listened, rapt. Afterward, a young gate agent approached. "Thank you for speaking up, Ms. Davis. We needed this." Monica smiled. "Thank you for listening. That's where change starts." Months later, Atlantic Air transformed. New oversight, transparent complaint handling, and a cultural shift took root. Monica boarded another flight, greeted with genuine warmth, not because of her title, but because fairness was now the standard. Settling into her seat, she allowed a moment of pride. The battle wasn't over, but she'd won a victory, for herself, and for everyone who deserved dignity.